Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 13 of the Fumbling Gurus, where we talk all things about the NFL. I want to introduce you to your hosts. We have the one, the true, the Giants fan, Mr. G Man.
I am appalled you even mentioned me like that.
You're
I,
welcome. And we have the Beard Master, Sick Stomach,
Welcome, everyone.
and myself, Finn from Finsationals Gaming. First off, I want to say congratulations on making it through Thanksgiving without overeating and, having to be rolled in. So, congratulations. Hopefully, everybody here had a great Thanksgiving and avoided the overrated dessert known as pie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I,
yeah, I don't know.
exactly. So, I wanted to jump right in with something we don't do very often here on the Fumbling Gurus, and that is talk about a feel good story. I need everybody to sit down. Sick, be careful. I don't want you to faint. I'm getting ready to give Tom Brady some credit. So, for those who don't know, there was this high school team over in Michigan, and they were inputting numbers in a group chat, and one guy made a mistake. And instead of texting his buddy, he texted, I don't know, some player from Tampa Bay called uh, Murphy Bunting. He's a cornerback for the Bucs. So he's like, "Hey, did you mean to send me this?" And they were like, "Yeah," kind of like thinking it was their buddy, and obviously they didn't. So he sent them a screenshot. I'm sorry, a selfie of him in front of the locker room, and it was really, really kind of cool. But then he did something that will live in these kids' minds forever, and that is he made a FaceTime call with them. And who all joined the call? Well, of course, the corner, and then some guy named Leonard Fournette. And surprisingly, the phone wasn't spiked because then Gronk got on it. And then the kids from Michigan started to get a little greedy. And they started asking about the quarterback, Mr. Tom Brady. And Brady was delighted. And he took some time, he grabbed the phone, and he spent a couple minutes of his time talking to them. So I want to go right to sick. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, what a positive story coming from Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, but it is good to see some stories are not all bad coming out of there. But no, I think that what are the chances that you call the wrong number and end up getting something of that nature? Um, but yeah, I think overall, great story. I mean, who wouldn't want to talk to the greatest player ever to wear number 12? So it's yeah, I mean, it was again awesome story. One of those things that like did that really just happen? You kind of question it a little bit, but no, it's awesome, and I think it's one of those you love seeing. That is, they always say the news only covers the bad stuff, so it's good to see this as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that, keep in mind, Brady went to school in Michigan. So these
Hmm.
kids are probably idolized him for from afar for a long time, and being able to talk to your idol, talk to somebody you've looked up to, a superstar. I mean, G-Man, tell me what, I mean, if you were in high school or being able to talk to your sports hero, whether that's a UFC fighter, I know you've more recently got in the NFL, but just anybody in general you looked up to, kind of tell me what do you think went through these kids' minds?
Well, they probably didn't believe it, honestly. They had to pinch themselves because that's something that you would never get again. You know, um, it's Tom Brady, one of the best, not the best, but one of the best. But, I don't know. Crazy.
I mean, you want to talk about that little like just in disbelief? I mean, the boys actually thought that it was their friend joking with them, and it wasn't until, like I said, they did the group call where they got to talk to Leonard Fournette and they got to talk to Mike Evans, Gronkowski, Richard Sherman, and then of course ending with Brady.
Listen, it's probably more likely that your buddy is joking with you than you actually talking to Tom Brady. So,
Right? But That's not the only thing that happened in the one Bucks place in Tampa. I'm just gonna simply take a step back and I'm gonna ask you, Sick, the question: what the buck is going on in Tampa Bay?
I don't know. Apparently, we don't even know. The Bucks don't even know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, what you're alluding to, I think, is the fake vaccine scandal. Um, man, there was a couple things for me because when it first came out, the Bucks denied it. Antonio Brown denied it. Um, everyone was saying no, it's a valid card. He supplied everything he was supposed to. He followed the protocols. And then kind of surprised me, like, right, Antonio Brown's been he's been injured the last couple weeks. He can't play, which to me was a little suspicious because I don't know, he kind of all of a sudden had this injury that's been lingering for weeks and weeks. And then now all of a sudden he gets hit with a 3 game suspension. Same with him and Mike Edwards, who's a safety for the Buccaneers. Both of them 3 game suspension, and they waive the right to appeal, which I mean clearly means that there's evidence. There's things that they can't overturn that are being shown and used in this process. So yeah, I don't know, a little stunning because everything was pointing to this just being an blown out of proportion story. There's no credibility to it, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's true. There's a suspension. Let's move on. Man, I think the question for me, and you guys maybe weigh in on this as well. There was, I believe it was last year, or maybe the beginning of this season. Antonio Brown was suspended for, I believe, 8 games. Yeah, and it was basically like team policy violations. Um, I don't remember all the details around it, but at the time, Bruce Arians basically said like this is his last chance. Like if he messes up one more time, he's out. We're done with him. Of course, that was before the season, before he became integral basically to the offense. Um, but Bruce Arians kind of set that standard. Is he going to follow up with that? Clearly not, because I feel like that would have followed this story. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but luckily, unluckily, I don't know. It's centered around Antonio Brown. Hopefully, it just kind of stays that way.
You could say Antonio Brown is cooked. For those who kind of went, huh? It was the chef, his personal chef that he owed money to, that broke the story open. So I want to go kind of a little step further. When you're talking about the suspension, that actually happened, I believe, with the Oakland Raiders and the New England Patriots. So basically, he got traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers, went to Oakland before they went to Las Vegas, and he got cut for this domestic violence issue. And then he goes to New England, plays 1 game, and then it kind of comes back up, and there is all this legal stuff kind of clouding him. Bruce Arians was like, no, we're not touching him. And then ultimately decided, hey, let's bring him in. It probably helped a little bit that Brady is Antonio Brown's buddy, saying, hey, I really want this guy, I really should get this guy, let's get him, let's get him, let's get him. So they did. He's been a good person while being with Tampa until this moment,
Yeah.
at least from this perspective. So my question to you, Sick, and you kind of asked us, and I'll certainly give my opinion on it, is because there's been a lot of headlines with this. Should the Bucs make a firm stance and say you lied to us, you broke protocol, you made us look bad, you're done? Should he be cut from the Bucs, or is that 3 game suspension enough? Even though he was going to be hurt for at least 2 more weeks, is that enough of a slap on the wrist to say, "Hey, get back in line"?
Yeah, I don't. To me, I don't think it's in that realm of, hey, you lied to us. I mean, I get that stance. I think to me, it's we brought you in, we gave you that chance. Like you said, he's been almost untouchable for the last season or so from teams in terms of trading and trying to pick him up, and why would I want to bring this guy in that's going to, like you said, bring the confusion to the team and all these aspects. So I personally do think that they should have some stance against this, whether it be adding suspension onto it, whether it be uh, letting him go, whatever those look like for the team, right? Because I do think there is something he owes to the Bucs for this. They gave him the chance, they gave him the shot, and he kind of, again, like you said, gave him a black eye for doing so. Luckily, it's not necessarily like a knockout blow he he decided to provide to us, but I think the thing for me is Brady, like you said, has this connection to him, and I don't think Brady would not be happy if he were to leave the team or he were to not be available for the playoffs or whatever it may look like. Um, so I think that's probably what's gonna be the deciding factor for the team. Um, but yeah, I mean, as a coach, in my opinion, you have to stick up for your team and stick up for um, what you believe in, right? And I don't think this is the stance you want everyone seeing the Buccaneers as.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. G-Man, on a little different note, I'm curious your take on this. So I'm on Twitter, and that's how I see a lot of the news. And Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times is the one who broke this story. So he, following up the story, he, sent out a tweet something like saying, "Hey, the vaccine was actually, it said that he got the vaccine in this location, and but it doesn't make sense because that's like 3 hours north, and he lives, he works here in Tampa. He's from Fort Lauderdale. I believe he's from Fort Lauderdale. He's down in South Miami anyway, or South Florida." And he's like, it never made sense, but that didn't seem to get any alarms. However, there's this guy who on Twitter who responds and says, "Rick Stroud, you deserve to be lose all your credentials. You are the reason that he's suspended. If the Bucs don't win a Super Bowl, it's on you." My question is this: why do some fans get so attached to players they blame the reporters for doing their job and not blame the player who broke all protocols, lied? I believe using a fake vaccine is a federal crime. What's what's going on with that? Why?
It's simple. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose the game. And, like like Six said, he's been a big part of their offense this year. And, it's he's one of those players that put in work. So, come playoff time, they're 8-2, right?
Eight
Something
and
like that.
three, I believe.
8-3. Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, they really got no competition in that division. So they're playoff bound. He's only suspended 3 weeks. He's going to be back for playoffs. And so, yeah, I don't know. There's crazy fans out there. I would definitely have repercussions on that, though. I mean, lying, committing a federal crime, like, how far does it go
How
until
hard?
your team's like, hey, hit the road, man, because this isn't your first offense. Like, this, not offense, but like, he's been in trouble before. So, I don't know.
How far would you go?
I just, I would keep him out of the games this year, at least.
Like
Um,
the rest of the games, including playoffs?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you would say cut him then.
basically, yeah. I don't know
So
how long his contract is, but if it's the remainder of this year and then he's done, then right? I mean, you gotta kind of stick up for yourself. So
the question that, because I asked my dad this question, who's a big Bucks fan, and his response to it is, well, then what do you do about Mike Edwards? And Antonio Brown is apparently the ringleader. He's the guy who wanted to push this out,
Mm-hmm.
but Mike Edwards still did it. He's still getting a 3-game suspension. If you cut Antonio Brown, do you also have to cut Mike Edwards? There's a lot of decision making that goes in this, and I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. So all in all, it is here we are. We get this wonderful feel good story with Tampa, and then like 2 days later, we get this bombshell dropped on us, and Brown was suspended by the NFL. It's going to cost them about $158,000, I believe the number was. So really not that much considering he got like a $250,000 bonus on his last game of the season last year.
Yeah,
On a,
I think that is a good distinction to make. He was suspended without pay, so it's kind of a double whammy, if you will.
Mhm.
So it is more than just a little slap on the wrist, but I mean, with Brown's prior history, you think there'd be a little more.
Yeah, he has to cook his own food now, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think that he is cooked for sure. On a different note, I so did you guys watch last night's game at all? G-Man, sick.
I caught some of it.
I caught
So
some of
so
it too.
so I'm not actually going to talk too much about the game. Dallas won. Good job, Dallas. Whatever. Blah blah blah. It was kind of a boring game in terms of a lot of stuff. I want to talk about Taysom Hill. That dude throws the ball. His arm hits a dude in the hand, and he tears a tendon in his middle finger. He didn't miss a snap. He played the entire game. They do the MRI, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty bad. It's not as bad as Russell Wilson, but it's pretty bad. And Hill's like, yeah, I plan on playing next week. Dalvin Cook, he tears his one torn labrum, kept playing, tears his other labrum on after dislocating his shoulder. He's gonna miss 2 weeks. Aaron Rodgers had basically a shattered toe to the point where he was going to possibly need surgery. Hasn't missed a game. As a matter of fact, he decided not to have surgery because it might make him miss a game. So he's just going to play with it and let it heal naturally. Mike Alstott, when he was in the Super Bowl, this is going way back when. I believe it was
I remember this
2003,
story.
2002. He had two broken ribs and played in the Super Bowl. I bruised my rib one time and I didn't want to move. How are these players built so different? G-Man, how?
Dude, I don't know what they're feeding them, but they're they're not human. But they're athletes, you know? Like maybe that's just they do it for the love of the game and the money. But, you know, like I don't know, you pay somebody millions of dollars. You pay somebody millions of dollars to play a sport and, you know, it's basically riding on you, the player, you know, the starter. If you think you can play, your adrenaline's pumping and you finish the game. I don't know. I honestly have no clue how some of these guys do it.
I know I played baseball on a much lower level, and I had hurt my leg several times there, and you battle it out, and when you have to make a play, you muster the energy to attempt to make the play. But I mean, I dealt with minor injuries, not two torn labrums, not
True.
a torn tendon in the middle finger. Sick. Just talk to us. Just go on.
Well, so I have some experience with this. I've dislocated my shoulder twice, same shoulder, and I actually have a torn labrum in the shoulder that I dislocated. Um, the second time I dislocated it, so granted this was already previous injury, but the second time I dislocated it, it took literally months of physical therapy before I could like use that arm and like pick up a gallon of milk. So I can't imagine going in from a week ago having this injury and then going in and playing a football game full throttle. I get each injury is a little different, and it may be different for him than what I was feeling or what I feel. But man, that I mean, I think part of it is they build their bodies for this. That's all they do. That's their job is to build their bodies to sustain this and overcome this. And then two, well, I guess multiple other points. They have the greatest, physical therapy 24/7, the greatest trainers and doctors that you can probably pay for. And then what are they putting in their body as well? I'm sure they have medicines and injections and things to help them either heal or just not feel the pain throughout the games. Um, but yeah, I couldn't imagine uh, that your job is, you have to be out on the field battling people each week, despite, like you said, you're playing quarterback. I was watching the game last night. They taped up his finger. He couldn't even bend his finger. He had a stent on his finger, and he's in the game throwing passes to elite wide receivers with elite, defensive line trying to tackle him. And it's like he never missed a beat. So yeah, it's just a different breed. Like you were saying, when you get to the NFL, it's not easy to even get to this point. So they're just showcasing how great of athletes they are, truly.
I mean, to be fair, 100% healthy, and if I got tackled by Dominica Sue or Levante David or
Yeah.
anybody in the NFL, I mean, any defensive player, and then you have to be like a stud, massive player, just anybody, even the long snapper
Mm-hmm.
would destroy me. I can't imagine playing it beat up and hurt, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. It's just they're different animals. They're different. They're not human, and it's crazy. And we think that here they are. They have to be at the peak every single week, which kind of leads me to Matthew Stafford and
Talking
the
of peaks,
Rams.
right?
Yeah, what what's going on? I read beforehand Matthew Stafford struggles with really good teams. Matthew Stafford, all this stuff about how he's maybe not the quarterback so many people view him as.
Hmm.
And I went, all right, I see that. I get that. And then he goes in and beats Tampa, and it's like, well, there you go. Forget it. It just was the Lions. Did you guys know in his career he is 9-70 against teams with a winning record? Here you are, you have this all-star cast, right? The dream team. And we talk about how stacked they are. And yet they're kind of in trouble, aren't they? G-Man, what are your thoughts on what's going on with the Rams?
Look, at one hand, I think, like they were doing pretty well for a while, but now with those statistics, I don't know. Like they almost need to you know, get a new QB and press the reset button. 'Cause I don't know, man.
I will say this, it doesn't help that they don't get to draft in like the first 100 picks for like 5 more years or something crazy.
Oof.
They've traded all their first and second round picks. I
Oh,
mean, they traded two first rounds for Matthew Stafford. They traded a second and third
yeah.
next year for Von Miller. I mean, this is a team that just says we're just going to take the best players already designed and we're just going to run with it. Sick. What are your thoughts with the Rams and can they overcome Matthew Stafford's record against winning teams? Is this just an anomaly?
Yeah, I don't know what to think quite yet because, I mean, I think that's one thing a lot of people are following is that, trade between the Lions and the Rams. And I don't know because you saw Stafford on the Lions had some great games and you kind of saw the potential. And then he came to the Rams and now it's like, well, yeah, they were great. I think I feel like the beginning of the season was definitely better for the Rams. There were multiple games where Stafford was just bombing the ball. Even the Buccaneers was one game where just 40 yard after 40 yard completion. Um, and then, like you said, there's certain games where it's like, do you did you practice this week? Did you like what's and I don't know. It's so there are a couple of quarterbacks through, and maybe someone can do research here, but like Stafford, Andy Dalton, there's a couple of quarterbacks that just when they get under pressure, it just seems to fall apart a little bit. And I'm not sure they get in their own head, maybe, but yeah, I think it's maybe like just a a mentality or something that these quarterbacks have that just certain pressures, certain teams are playing. Maybe it's the prep for those teams. Maybe they prep too much for certain teams, and that Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think yet. I thought Stafford kind of broke that, like you said. I think everyone thought at the beginning of the year, oh, we thought he was bad under pressure, but look, he's doing it, and now he's back to kind of the way he was. Maybe he just needs time. Maybe he just needs time with Sean McVay and to trying to get out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I hope that's the case, but unfortunately, with the way Arizona's playing, they're not going to win their division, so they're going to make the playoffs. And they might even win a game, but they're going to travel every single week
Mm-hmm.
until they either, make the Super Bowl or ultimately lose. And they have an amazing cast of players, but since they made all those trades with, like I said, Von Miller and signing Odell Beckham now, I know Robert Woods going down hurt their offense some, but
Well,
they've been mostly healthy.
I think too, like how many, like you're saying, Von Miller has been there two games. I think he's played at this point.
Hmm.
Um, OBJ they just acquired. I think he's played 2 games, maybe even 1 game at this
I
point.
think just one.
And then Stafford, this is his first year in this offense. So I mean, all the pieces are putting in place haven't been there too long. So I think they just need to gel a little bit, honestly. Like Robert Woods did not help. OBJ can fill that, but
Mm.
again, he needs time to get in the offense and get with Stafford and everything.
And it was 2 games for Odell Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you're right. I think a lot of it is you just need to figure out how to use the certain pieces, how they gel. I mean, when this sick when we used to play Destiny all the time, there'd be certain things that you knew that where I was going to be and how I was going to do it because you knew me so well.
Yeah.
Well, people are going to have to learn where Von Miller is. Stafford's going to need to learn where Odell Beckham is, and you need that chemistry and you hope that they can get it right before the playoffs time. G-Man, any last thoughts on the Rams before we move on?
We're gonna have to wait and see how this team does. I don't know. I mean, it's late in the season. They lost quite a few games, but they're not on that bottom of the barrel kicked out of the playoffs yet. So playoff time is different than regular season, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how that plays out. Well, I want to get into our picks for the week. And I'm going to start off by saying that I had 2 games going Thursday night on Thanksgiving, and by the end of them, I had massive indigestion and was sweating bullets after you, G-Man, and Sick, you were kind of rooting for the third person to go 0-3 in 3 weeks. And it kind of looked scary. I mean, Detroit had the lead, and then the questionable penalty, and then the going down the field and kicking a field goal with no time left, and they lose the game, and they drop to 0-11-1, 0-10-1, yet to get a W. And I kind of forgot about the injuries to CeeDee Lamb. I knew Elliott Lamb was hurt, but I did forget that their other receiver, Mari Cooper, was out with concussion. That's my bad. I need to know a little more. That's on me. But Dallas was definitely overran by the Raiders, who shockingly upset Dallas and took the win. And so I started 0-2. That was not the case for G-Man. His lock of the week, Ravens over the Browns. Talk to me, bud.
You know, it was it was not a very exciting game. I can tell you that much. It didn't start off very exciting. It was just very defensive heavy, and then Ravens kind of pulled it out at the end in the fourth with a field goal. So I mean, I don't know. It honestly, it wasn't that exciting. I was off and on it. Um, Ravens came out with the win, so I covered. W for me.
That is exactly what happened. And then, sick. He said his lock of the week, Washington football team, the WTFs over Seattle. Russell Wilson had no chance. And sure enough, they hold on. Talk to me.
Yeah, I believe what the spread was like 1 point for that game. So
It was.
all I needed was Washington to win, and I knew I like I said, they're on a roll. It wasn't necessarily the decisive win I was kind of predicting, but still a W. Um, I was definitely heading into the fourth quarter. Seattle started picking it up a little bit. They brought it back. I think 6 points in the fourth quarter, so they almost got back. But yeah, they're still struggling. That offense for Seattle is not clicking on multiple facets. Um, and Washington football team didn't look great on that game, but yeah, like I said, they kind of. I think we were talking about momentum. I think that's really what carried into this game. We saw the momentum for Washington kind of help them keep going throughout the game, and then Seattle kind of did the opposite. So yeah, definitely glad to put some points on the board there.
Russell Wilson had a chance to tie the game up and did not convert the 2 point conversion,
Mm-hmm.
so they lose by 2. But with the 1 point spread, you did in fact cover, so congratulations. And then both of you guys decided to be like Kirk Cousins and line up under the wrong player. That's right, in the football game, he lined up under guard. That's how well the Vikings were playing against the 49ers. And ouch, you both took the L. Who wants to talk first? You both are shaking your head. G-Man, I'm gonna pass this one right over to you, bud.
Look, the 49ers are not a good team. I have no idea why the Vikings couldn't roll right over them. And let's go into that lineup there. The guy is guaranteed $150 million contract, and you play or you line up like you're playing for Pee Wee football, okay? Like the coach had to come out on the field and move you a little bit. What? What in the heck, man? What's going on there?
I believe his
Uh,
explanation was just like, yeah, I accidentally lined up under the wrong guy. Oops.
that's a big like what? Like, look how much you're getting paid. Mistakes like that shouldn't be made at this level of play here, you know? I don't know.
Can
But
you imagine the guard? Here you are, just like you're kind of waiting for the center to snap the ball, and all of a sudden you feel 2 hands underneath you, like, whoa, hey, buddy, you got a little close.
right? I wish they snapped it and the ball just went down the field. That would have been just awesome. That would have just been awesome, man. But it was a penalty flag, I think, that was thrown that's actually saved him in that, but that would have been gold if that happened. But I got the L, and so did Sick. But
Dick, you looked up the numbers. You were so confident in this pick, and how'd that one work out for you, bud?
Hey, they weren't too far off. But yeah, it was not a pretty game. I mean, we say this every week. I don't know why anyone keeps picking. Like, the Vikings are one of the teams you just don't pick for or against because it doesn't matter what week it is, they do the opposite of whatever you think's going to happen. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. You can't trust them. You just can't.
lucky for us, though, we just had to pick them to win. So we didn't have to cover the spread on that one. But they still didn't win. So what are we doing here?
I mean, the spread would have helped you guys. Now, Mr. Giants fan, I want to talk about your game of the week here. Your favorite team, the Eagles versus the Giants. You said, man, my team is gonna lose to the Eagles, and that's not at all what happened. What? All right, so obviously those who don't know, he is a Eagles fan, and I'm just giving him a hard time. Gee, man, what happened in that game? And hurts, man. That hurt looking up and seeing 3 picks.
Do I have to talk about this game?
Yes, I I, I said
Okay,
that to you.
so
I said to you. The ball. It's your
look,
turn.
Hurts,
Spotlight's on you.
19 seconds left. Hurts drops back. He passes it. Open. Devontae Smith ready to catch the ball. Passes it to Jalen Reagor, I think. Pretty sure. And he drops it. And yeah, no. That was GG after that. And we could have won it, honestly. We could have won it had he caught that ball. Had he passed it to Devontae Smith, who was wide open, throwing his hands up like I'm here, we would have won that game. But Also, 3 interceptions by Jalen Hurts, as you mentioned. Multiple drop passes that shouldn't have been dropped. Fumbles by our running back. I think we had 2 fumbles by Miles Sanders in that game. It was just, it was a crapshoot. It was a crapshoot, and we took the L on that one in more than one way.
I will say that I believe I sent you the text asking if you were okay because I knew that loss hurt,
Yeah.
and I unfortunately as a Dolphins fan I have felt plenty of those.
Well, you'll
So
you'll you'll feel it this week. So
yeah, well, something I don't understand about the Eagles is Devontae Smith seems to just he's amazing when they feed him the ball,
they
and
didn't
yet
want
he'll
it.
go through a game where they don't feed him the ball, and it's frustrating.
Look, we start off the season. It was wishy-washy, and then we had no run game, and then we establish a run game, and then we're doing decently, and you know everything's clicking. We had a 3-game winning streak, and then we just fall apart. We just fall apart, and I don't know. Like, if you want a wild card spot, you gotta pick up your game here because there's some teams that are gonna jump ahead of you if you can't start winning these easy games. Giants are not a very good team this season, and it was very winnable. We just didn't want to win. I felt like.
That's for sure, and those losses are gonna hurt, especially when you had a struggling Dallas team, and you were a chance to move up, make some ground, and you failed, but
But
it happens.
but Dallas winning actually helped us because New Orleans was one of those teams that were in contendership. So them
Well,
beating,
this week.
well, yeah, but you get what.
I I just need guys, everybody, please clap your hands with me. Sick. You did it, my friend. You did it. You
I did
did
it.
it. You finally did it, man. You picked the Bucs. You picked them correctly. You said not just were they going to win. You said they were going to cover the spread, and they did. It looked a little scary for a second, but
for
they did it. Congratulations, man.
for more
Talk to
than a
me about the
second.
game.
Yeah. No, it's my first correct Buccaneer pick since week one, I believe.
Oh
Week
yeah.
two.
Whoa, really? God dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, since week 2, your first official pick was week 2 because we started the podcast the
Right.
day after opening
That's
day.
true. Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think ultimately we came out and did what we needed to do to win the game. What we were talking about in terms of shutting down Taylor, keeping him from going off essentially. And then even though we shut him down for basically like 3 quarters, that last quarter was really scary. He had a couple breakout runs, 30, 40-yard runs. Luckily, he didn't get I don't think there was a long touchdown out of any of them. But he did get them right
Nope.
down to the goal line for a couple scores close to the end. Um, and man, which I wouldn't have predicted this. There's been a couple games that he's kind of broken out, but Fournette carried us. During that game, they could not stop him. He was running people over. He was getting 10, 20-yard chunks every time they handed him the ball. He ended up with, I believe, 3 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing receiving touchdown. So 4 total, I believe. But either way, he dominated. And I think that was kind of the difference in, like, we were shutting down their run game and our run game was starting to get some momentum. But I mean, in my opinion, pretty solid win from the Buccaneers. Kind of what we've been, I guess, what I've been hoping for or talking about. How we can't be we have to be consistent against these good teams, and it just didn't seem that way throughout the season. So this was, in my opinion, a pretty good win on a team with the Colts that have been on a roll and kind of dominating everyone they've gone through. Um, so I couldn't be happier with the outcome this week.
I think what happened on that last drive was the Bucks had really focused on stopping the run all game, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
On the last drive, they said we're going to prevent the pass. We can't allow the quick score, and
Mm-hmm.
so Taylor was able to run and have some success. As a fantasy owner who had Michael Pittman, I was quite upset that Pittman didn't get fed to get over the 100-yard mark. But
Mhm.
what a great play by Antoine Winfield to basically moss Pittman. That was pretty cool and a
That was
pretty
an
nice play.
insane interception. Yeah.
So congratulations on the Bucs winning that game, but more importantly, congratulations, Sick, on getting your second pick right with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man.
2 points this week.
We'll talk about that off air. Well, my saving grace, the Miami Dolphins face the Carolina Panthers as a 2-point home underdog. Cam Newton riding the wave of emotions, riding this high. He comes out, and boy, did he look terrible. My goodness, he was cooked. He was done. He was finished. Christian McCaffrey, RIP for all fantasy owners, hurts his ankle, done for the year. And the Miami Dolphins just controlled and dominated that game from the get go. Uh, After about the second or third drive, initially I might have sent out a message saying fire everybody, and I still want to see everybody fired on the offensive side. I still want to see the whole GM and scouting department fired. We're not even going to get into that. What a win. Big time win. People kind of thought this would be the week that Miami tripped up and ended their winning streak, but that's just not the case. It felt good. I get my point. I did not go 0-3 this week. So thank the good Lord.
I think there was like a 5 minute window in between the fire everyone and the never mind, we're winning 21-7
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Minor details.
Yep.
So, but that now brings me to our picks this week, where we are going to just be unbeatable. I'm sure G-Man's going to go 1-2 again this week, and because of that, I'm going to start off with Mr. Six Stomach, your lock of the week.
Ooh, my lock of the week. So, man, I feel like we talked about this a little bit heading into this week. I feel like there's pretty much 3 or 4 games to pick from this week. If you're not going with the sick heart picks, if you're going with the logical picks, there's like 3 or 4 games this week for locks and upsets. Um, but after watching the Buccaneer game and seeing, I guess how overall the Colts are looking, I say there's no question they dominate the Texans this week. Um, Tyrod Taylor picked it up a little bit last week, but they still, I think it was the Jets they were playing last week, and they still couldn't necessarily get it together. Um, so that is going to be my pick: is the Colts versus the Texans, and I believe it's like a 10 or 11 point spread for them, which I don't think will be a problem for them.
10-point spread. So they're 10-point favorites in that game.
Mm-hmm.
G-Man, your lock of the week.
I searched high and low for a team, and I say this every week, and I will continue to say this. But ultimately, it's gonna have to be a repeat of last week because I too picked the Colts over to cover the spread versus the Texans. Because I have no doubt in my mind that they're gonna run right over them and easily cover that spread. Easily.
I kind of agreed with you guys. I actually was looking heavily at that game, but ultimately the Texans flat out play good defense. And they've been playing good defense all year, and they've kept games sometimes closer than what you would expect. And so I did not go with them. However, Arizona gets Kyler Murray back, hopefully. Arizona gets DeAndre Hopkins back, hopefully. And so Chicago starting Andy Dalton, Chicago missing a bunch of key components, are a 7.5 point. Chicago's a 7.5 point underdog. Arizona, the 7.5 point favorite. I am picking Arizona to cover and win that game by more than a touchdown.
Aren't they missing Kyler Murray?
He's
Isn't he a
supposed to be back this week.
game time decision?
Last I heard was that he was questionable but expected to play.
Okay.
And I actually looked up today trying to find updates on that, and I did not. So I'm going to go with that he's going to play.
I hope you're
And
right.
me too.
Also, sick, just so you know, last time Texans played the Colts, it was 3-31, so I think we're good. I think we're good.
I mean, they lost to the Jets last week. There was like 21-14 or something. So I'm
Yeah,
not too worried
so
about it.
I'm not worried about it at all.
Well, G-Man, I'm gonna make you go first. I said I would. Your
Oh
upset
man.
of the week. Please tell me
Uh,
who is gonna get that upset.
Look, okay, Finn, your division. Let's talk a little bit about it. Okay.
Let's do it.
Got New England and the Bills, two teams that you hate. New England's the underdog in this, and I, I just, I hate myself, kicking myself for picking New England on anything, but I gotta go New England beating the Bills. New England won their last 6 games. It's gonna be a tough one though, because the Bills are the number one pass defense in the league, and I think New England's the second pass defense in the league.
That sounds about right.
So yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know. I just hope this game doesn't turn into Seattle Green Bay. That much of a defensive game. I know that the Bills are pass heavy offense, so I don't know, but it's Belichick's turning it up, and so is Mac Jones. So who knows? But I picked the New England Patriots to beat the Bills. That's what I'm
After our
picking.
picks were over, I was going to actually talk about this game, so we're just going to take a little pause in our picks, and I'm going to pass this over to you, Sick. This is a massive, massive game to determine not just the AFC East winner, but I believe New England is currently number 2 in the AFC. And this is a huge game to determine seeding, division winner, a lot on the line in Buffalo, New England, rookie quarterback Belichick, the whole ordeal, versus Josh Allen and that vaunted, whatever word you want to use, Bills offense. What are your thoughts about that game, the matchup?
So a couple things that come to mind. One earlier this week, I saw what looks like a weather report for that game. It does not look like it's going to be a fun day. I mean, I'm from Florida, so any type of snow being mentioned just seems horrible to me. But when it looks like that might be an ice bowl game, the way the temperatures are going, so I think that could play a huge factor in it. But man, I think the Patriots have come out of nowhere to surprise a lot of people. And when you look at how they're winning games, it's tough to say they're not going to keep winning games. Um, and then you look at the Bills, and they could blow up or they could throw a dud. So, yeah, I mean, to me, if you're looking at the past games in the season, uh, I would definitely put money on New England as well. But watch out for the
Yeah,
weather.
I didn't realize the weather, and typically when you have big snow games like that, the two most important factors are big arm quarterbacks and running games.
Hmm.
Well, the Bills don't have a running game, but they do have the big arm quarterback. In New England, they have the running game, but Mac Jones is anything but a big arm quarterback. So it'll be interesting how that game plays out. The Patriots have very much protected Mac Jones. They've relied on the running game. They've relied on the great defense. They've just asked him to be efficient and to manage the game, and he has done that. Well, they may be asking him to win this game, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rookie plays. I believe that the home team is going to get the nod here. And so I would not be shocked at all to see. I mean, honestly, it's a 2.5 point spread, which is, again, remember, home team is about 3 points. So basically, they're saying, here's a coin flip. And I certainly understand why, because both of these teams can win. But the Bills should be hyper focused. Yes, they've lost to the Jaguars. Yes, they got destroyed by the Colts, but then they've also destroyed like every team that they've decided to play.
Hmm.
So it's an interesting matchup, one that I will definitely be watching. I believe that, yeah, Monday night's game. That'll be important one. Circle it for those interested and have the AFC. plays.
Who
For
do you want leading that?
Who do I want to win that? The Bills. And here's why. Number one, I hate the cheaters. Number two, it helps the Dolphins have a chance at the playoffs. So
here's
Okay.
here's the weather report.
Oh
During the
no.
day, 50 degrees, not too bad, but 90% chance of rain. So it's probably going to be raining most of the day. At night, it's going to drop to 26 with a wind of 15 to 25 miles per hour. Chance of snow at 30% and on and off showers throughout the day, throughout the night.
I'm good.
So
I'll
that's,
be at home in Florida.
yeah.
That's a regular day over here, dude.
I just want to point out for those who aren't from Florida, today our low was about 62 degrees, our high was about 73. So while you guys are enjoying that really crappy weather, just know that I'm sunburnt because I was out fishing today. So if you guys are a little salty, I'm sorry. Florida's the greatest. Well, we talked about that game. I'm gonna throw it over to you now, Sick, for your upset. What's your upset?
So I am sticking with a team that I picked, I think, the last couple weeks here. But
Okay.
I think they're going to keep it rolling a little bit here. And that is going to be the Washington football team. This week they play the Raiders. So I think that it's yeah, they're the 1 point underdog. So they're not. It's almost a push, but I think Washington football team will beat the Raiders. I think they should be the favorites here. Um, but yeah, I think they'll keep some of that momentum. I think Raiders are on the opposite spectrum as well. So yeah, I think the football team shouldn't have a problem this week.
One thing about that game that does concern me is that uh, the Raiders get an extra few days of rest
Hmm.
and more time to game plan, and they're the home team, which is always a huge advantage. However, with that said, I too had Washington over the Raiders as my upset. And I'm going to also let you guys know that had G-Man picked this game, I was going to pick New England over the Bills because I was not going to do a three for on for the same upset. So I had a backup plan just in case. But no, I did pick Washington over the Raiders. It leads us to the picks of our favorite teams, the teams that we rely on and root for week in and week out. And I would like to start off that the Miami Dolphins are facing the New York Giants. The Giants, while decent at home, are awful on the road. It's in Miami. The Giants, while not great, Daniel Jones has high highs and low lows. But he has a neck injury, so he's out. And their backup quarterback was some guy
Some
named Mike Glennon, who the Bears fans and Bucs fans should know. He's not very good. And so I certainly think that Miami has a huge chance to come out and dominate this team. They should do it. They get a bye week the following week, so they shouldn't be looking ahead. And the New York Giants, with the news of the quarterback being out, the line did move from yesterday. I actually had looked this up and picked it yesterday when it was a 4 point spread. It is now a 6 point spread. But I think Miami wins and covers against the New York Giants. Tua has another very effective, efficient day. They might get Devontae Parker back. Miles Gaskin's been getting involved. And I'm excited to see this defense and how it reacts and continue to play high level football the way they should have at the beginning of the year. So it should be a fun game. I'm kind of also curious how Tua plays and how Waddle plays because the two quarterbacks that kind of get compared is Hurts and Smith to Tua and Waddle. Both are Alabama quarterbacks, both are Alabama wide receivers. Both quarterbacks were drafted in the same year, both wide receivers were drafted in the same year. So it'll be kind of fun to see Tua light up the scoreboard. Waddle, 8 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown, something like that, so I can rub it in the face of G-Man next week. Sick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who are they facing? What's the spread and what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah. So we're playing the Falcons again. I think it's a repeat I think it was earlier in the season, week 4 or 5. But yeah, we ended up dominating them last time. I don't. I haven't seen anything out of the Falcons recently that would make me think there's going to be any change in that. And I think the Buccaneers coming off the big win last week. I think we're going to keep it rolling. So I think it's a 10.5 point spread is what I see right now for them. They're 10.5 point favorites, and so yeah, I don't see them uh, for any reason not covering that spread. So I think ultimately, yeah, we'll outright win and cover against the Falcons. And I don't see how the Falcons will be a contender in this game.
I certainly agree with that. G-Man, your Eagles are facing one of the worst teams in the league this week. Another New York team. Talk me through it.
Hey, I got a fun statistic for you. Ben, are you ready? Eagles have never lost in franchise history to the Jets. Ever. Never, never. So it's either going to go one of two ways. It's going to go one of the most disappointing losses I've ever seen, or we're going to win like expected. And I expect them to win. I expect them to cover that 7 point spread against the Jets at the Jets Stadium in New York. I mean, they had a tough game last week and they lost. It's time to bounce back. Uh, you know, pick up that momentum that you had in those last 3 games. Hold on to the ball, catch the balls when they come to you. Like, I don't know. Like, it's the Jets. I'm sure we'll beat them. It's whether we're gonna cover or not, and that's what I'm betting on right now. And I don't know. 7 point spread. I don't think it's that far fetched. The Jets are bad. I think they are starting Zach Wilson, and so I don't know. He's not that great. So I think we'll beat him. That's
I hate to break this to you, but there are three outcomes. You can win, you can lose, and in the NFL you can tie. So I just want to let you know that what you said was factually wrong. It is
yeah.
possible that
Like,
the Eagles could tie with the Jets.
look, there's a 50-50 shot that I could possibly lose, but I don't think that that is even a possibility. So I think I'm 100% going to win this game and end up with 3 wins. When Sick hosts next week, he's going to be like, G-Man, you did it, boy. You did it. Great 3 wins. I'm like, thank you very much. Now I'm ahead of Finn.
Yeah, something like that. So so we have you pick it. Well, all three of us expect our teams to cover the spreads. That's always fun when your teams are winning and the expectations are that they will win and win by a lot. We covered a whole lot today. We covered the Bucs pretty extensively. I did not mention that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback to wear number 12. Sick beat me to that punch a little bit. I'm a little hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I realized that was set up. So my favorite segment of the day, evening, night, whatever it is, we have any final thoughts, gentlemen? And I'm gonna start with you, G-Man. You just look like you have a final thought.
I really don't. But I am going to say that we need that wild card spot. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go.
It's sick. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, no final thoughts this week. Hopefully, the Buccaneers can keep out of trouble, not lose any more people to injuries or other factors, so we can get into the playoffs, have a strong playoff push. We just smooth sailing is what we need from here on.
And my final thought is thank you guys so much for putting up with me today. I'm sick and I've been really fighting back coughs. Obviously, G-Man made me laugh and I got into a coughing fit. But apologize on that, but thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. I think it's safe to say we all appreciate your guys' support, and we will see you again next week, Friday at 8:30 Eastern. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.